Back in the first week of the conflict, on October 10th to be precise, we interviewed Haneen, a New Jersey woman with 3 kids, one of whom was just 2 months old. They were just a few of the hundreds of Americans who spent nearly a month trapped in Gaza. She was visiting family in the north when Hamas attacked, and then, as requested by the State Department, Haneen and her kids moved south toward the Rafah crossing, and for days the O'Call family waited and waited and waited as food and water ran out. She shared shelter space with some 40 people, including Haneen's brother, Aboud O'Call, who was also in Gaza, whose story we also told you. And finally, last week, a brokered deal allowed both O'Call families to leave Gaza, and they arrived back on U.S. soil about 48 hours ago. And Haneen O'Call joins me now from her home in New Jersey. Haneen, I am so happy to say hi to you in New Jersey. Welcome back to the United States. How are you? How are your kids? You told us the baby would wake up at night because of the airstrikes. How's the baby doing?
Thank you so much, Jack. Yeah, we're fine. Thanks God we made it through here to New Jersey. We're okay. Way much better than when we was in Gaza. The kids are okay. They are so happy to see their dad. My husband is so happy to see us. Like he was scared that he won't be able to see us at all again. So we made it here to New Jersey, and I can't even believe it. Until this moment, I can't believe what we went through. But finally, we're here, and the baby is okay. The baby is okay.
You know, there wasn't a day that we weren't calling or texting people on your behalf until you got out. We were on the case the whole time. Tell us about those last few days in Gaza and your experience getting out. What was it like finally going through and getting to Egypt?
It was so hard. We got out of Rafah to the border. To the Palestinian side first, and then the Palestinian side, they saw our names on the list, and then they checked the passports, and then they sent us to the Egyptian side. The Egyptian side, when we went there, they checked our names, and then they said everything is okay. But in my case, with my son Elias, you know that my son didn't have the passport because I had to deliver him in Gaza because of my medical situation. I had to deliver him 2 months ago. I couldn't travel back to have him here in U.S. while I was visiting my family. So Elias didn't have a passport. We tried a lot to contact the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, and I had an appointment in Tel Aviv until the war happened, and then I couldn't be able to go there because they like the area's border, it got bombed, so it was miserable. I couldn't have any way to get him a passport. So we contacted the U.S. Embassy in Egypt, and they did their best. Actually, they helped us a lot. Thanks to them. They printed an emergency passport for him, and they were there waiting for us in the Egyptian side to give us the passport so we can give it to the Egyptian so we can enter. And yes, as I said, the U.S. Embassy were waiting for us in the Egyptian side. They were very welcoming. They did everything they can do to help every U.S. citizen in there in the Rafah border crossing, and they were absolutely helping us in all what they can do. I could travel to Egypt because of this, because they gave me the passport for Elias, my son, because in that case, I believe now Egyptians, they allow Palestinians to, I think the Americans or anyone, or through the Palestinian passport to enter Egypt. If they don't have the passport, they allow them to have the ID number. But in my case, at the first, because I was from the very few people who traveled, I I was on the list the second day they opened the border. So at that time, it was very hard for people to travel without a passport.
Yeah.
So I could go back to Gaza if I couldn't have the passport for my son Elias, and we couldn't be able to travel without him. So it was very scary for me that if I couldn't get the passport for my son, for my newborn, I would go back to Gaza with my other kids, because we won't be able to leave him.
Right. Well, thank God. Thank God. And shout out to the hardworking U.S. Embassy personnel in Cairo who got that passport for him.
Told me that this was the first case that we did this for them. They did it for us. Like, it's the first time that happened that they printed an emergency U.S. passport that the mom is not, the mom or the dad is not showing up. It's just the information that I submitted on the application, and that's all. But I can't like thank them enough. They did a hard work.
Yeah. Well, he's a special boy. He's a special little boy. So some rules had to be broken for him. I'm glad it happened. As somebody who was trapped in Gaza for all those weeks, I have to ask you, the Israeli airstrikes. Israel claims that they're targeting Hamas. You got to see where they were bombing. Did it seem as though they were targeting specific Hamas targets, or did it just seem like they were bombing indiscriminately?
Seriously, I don't know. Nobody knows there, because bombing is all over. Airstrikes is around the city, around the south. It's everywhere. You call your relatives in Khan Yunis or in Deir al-Balah or in Rafah. They all say that their areas are getting bombed. So nobody knows. Absolutely, they are bombing Hamas, but nobody knows if it's only Hamas, because they want to reach Hamas in any possible way, But the way they are doing it, I don't know if it's the correct way, because it will reach a point that it's discriminately, like it's nobody knows that.
Yeah.
Serious.
You still have family in Gaza. What have you heard from them? Have you heard from them at all?
Yeah, until today, like I try my best to get the rest of my family, because I have sisters live there, my brothers, my mom and my dad are still there. I can't believe that, my heart is broken, because yes, I made it here, and with my kids, and with my family, we're okay. But I'm not happy, because my family are there, and believe it or not, my family, they want to get out of Gaza. They want to make it. Their houses are bombed. So even if the war ends, they don't have a place to go back to, It's really hard, because now the food they're suffering. They're really suffering. There's no enough food for everyone. They eat the canned food. There's no enough water. No electricity, no internet. Even now, the solar, the solar system, it's getting bombed.
Yeah.
So there is no power. It's really hard there. It's really miserable. I don't know if any human being can live in there. I feel so sad for all the Gazans, not only my family members, but for all the Gazans. I don't know how they are going to make it after all this.
Haneen Ocal, stay in touch with us, because we want to keep on top of it. I know you're safe, and I know that your 3 kids are safe, and I know your brother Aboud, whose story we've also been telling, is safe. But but obviously, there are still millions of innocent Palestinians who are not, and we want to stay on top of it. But we are happy that you're back, Haneen. We are really, really very happy that you're back. So thank you so much for joining us.